And then Paul comes up and he's talking about this guy, this molecular scientist he met, and he's talking about they're afraid they could do this, they could pierce that, but they're afraid about what's on the other side. Well, there are a group of scientists that are very limited in their knowledge and very limited in knowing on what really goes on. But when you get into the aspects of DARPA, the CIA, and the intelligence communities that actually control a lot of this information and behind the scenes, or the secret space program that we have, no, we definitely have already pierced the veil. We have already gone across. And Mike does speak about some of that on there. That's one of the reasons why it'd be really fascinating to sit down with him in an interview and talk to him about these things, because of the things that I'm aware of myself. And then, of course, his knowledge of that. I think he's probably had more firsthand experience. Mine is, of course, secondhand and sometimes thirdhand, depending on how that information comes down. And I have multiple sources. I have Israeli contacts as well that are deep into that type of knowledge. That is through a secondhand source on that information, as well as other intelligence fields that I have here in the U.S. So I pull from the different spectrums there of that technology and that information to be able to share it with you guys. Let's move down a little further, though. Let's go to 3830. On his video there, and maybe we're actually already there. So let me just play that. See, Paul says, "What's on the other side, Mike?" They have had examples. That's what we're going to play there, because Mike's going to talk about. They've already had examples, and then in at 3930, he's going to say CERN is tampering with time, and then Mike goes into the thoughts. Most of our thoughts are external. Now, one of my teachings that I'm going to be doing here this evening after I finish this video is going to be dealing with that because I am very concerned that, especially as the demonic forces that are running our governments and stuff, and them trying to open up these veils and bring these entities in, we're about to be bombarded like never before. So when I'm playing this information for you here, this is not haphazard. This really, I feel, is important for you to understand the technology side of this. And then we're going to go into the biblical aspect of this too, so that you are really prepared. As Paul said, putting on the full armor of God. This is not just some kind of metaphoric thing that Paul is talking about. You're in for a ride, and we're in for a ride that you ain't never been on before. And I want you to be ready. So let's listen a little bit more here.
They've had examples. They know what happens when you tamper with exotic materials, when you're tampering with forces they shouldn't tamper with. When they back engineer things that have been left here for a long time, they know exactly what happens. They know the horror stories behind it. And it's not the attractive UFO picture everybody would want to have covered.
No.
But let's go ahead and face it. There are things on this earth that are better left alone. But mankind did not leave them alone. They've had advantages from it, yes, but it has cost a lot of lives. CERN ultimately CERN tampers with time. CERN tampers with time.
The time, really?
Tamper with dimensions.
Really?
You're going to tamper with, you can't.
Well, let me just say, though, why he's saying that about it tampers with time is because, like I mentioned to you from the other video there, CERN opens up. It can open up a wormhole. It can literally open up the ether, go from one side to the other. It manipulates time. We know that through CERN, we've already discovered at least 7 other dimensions. Now, that's at least what I've been made privy to. No telling what else out there exists. In the next 2 dimensions beyond this, we have Earths just like our Earth, same exact solar system, everything you can see, but it is in a different time warp, a different time period. One of those planets are in the 50s. Now, Mike talks about, and I've shared this with you guys before, he talks about we've lost people. We've actually sent people over to these other dimensions where these other Earths are, and we have trackers on them. We know they're there. We have not lost the ability that they're there, but we can't get them back. So imagine that. A lot could be said on these things. Okay, let's listen more.
You can't tamper with a dimension without tampering with time. And so if you tamper with time, where people are conscious, you're going to have a melding of almost like the dream world, hell's world, and this world
yes,
all one
there you
time.
go.
And this will be beyond a person's will, or it doesn't matter if a person wants that to happen or not. They'll be subject to it, prone to it. So voices, for example, if people would just stop for a second.
Now, I want you to notice, though, where Mike says is you're not going to be able to do anything about it. And we have more than one type of way that scientists are tampering with the other side. CERN is one way. CERN is opening a portal, a gateway. It is opening an avenue of demonic entities that, as I've said before, this is how I think they're going to bring Planet X in. As we were talking about, I think it was over in the book of Revelation last night, where when that pit is open and the smoke and everything rose out of it, very similar to that of what you have in the Colburn. And again, as I said, they call it a Bible, but listen, don't take it as a Bible. But if you want to look at it from a historic point of view, this is where you read about the passing of Planet X in the past and also what's anticipated in the future. And then when you look at the book of Revelation, oh my gosh, it's very similar, very scary, in fact, the way it looks when you're reading that. But as I said, though, he's talking about these entities and things that, that it's going to open up the minds to the dream world, like a dream world, but you're going into a demonic world. Yes, very, very true. And I'm going to share with you here some of the information that I did as well, like what prompted the building of CERN. Wait a minute, extracting energy. All right, in fact, before we get too far into this, let me take you to one of the videos that I did. Let's see, CERN and extracting energy. Let me see. I think it's what prompted the building of CERN. Wait a minute, let me just make sure I get the right video. Okay, what prompted the building of CERN? Here we go. At 1:20, and we're already close enough there. All right, this is actually, though, where I talk about, all right, because if you remember, all right, let's just back up before I get into the spirits. One of the things he said at the beginning of this clip we were playing is that they've already tapped in and had experiences. So let me play that for you. This is one of those ones where that happened in the video, What Prompted the Building of CERN. This was a Patreon video that we had that aired. Idea of what they were actually dealing with. There was actually a device that was discovered in the Middle East there, and it's that device that they took to the underground facility, which is about 27 stories underground. 27 stories in an underground bunker there, where this device was taken to, where scientists were studying it, trying to figure it out, etc. And so I'm going to take you, like I said, really on the inside of the conversations that we have, so you can kind of get a better idea of what I actually get to hear myself. So anyway, he says that the movie Stargate is predicated on an event in Colorado, and there are several mountains there with different types of bunkers, including for nuclear war, etc. And another bunker was for scientific analysis. And there's where the device that they had discovered in the Middle East, the device was actually housed in that facility, 27 stories underground. And I was told that the device had like puzzle pieces around the perimeter of the circumference. And depending on the sequence, you rotated the inner ring to match the outer ring. And depending on the sequence you used to match the outer ring to align the puzzle up, it would have a certain reaction. Most of the time, the scientists had no results. But if you hit the right sequence, it would create some sort of a wormhole. But it wasn't a wormhole like the movie, similar to a wormhole but similar to a door or a portal that CERN can open. The scientists believe that the different sequences. Now, if you notice, it's a door similar to that of what CERN can open. All right. Like I said, they already know how to do it with CERN, and we've already done it. With, in one video I spoke about how that we had an evil entity that literally came back, and granted, when I say the entity came back and it was CERN that did it, we never discussed which hadron collider we used to do that. So whether or not it was truly the one there in France or Switzerland, I should say, that goes underneath France, etc. there, I don't know. I just know that 2 scientists were killed as a result. And of course, they'll never make that public of what happens. But like I said, we have 6 of these that I'm aware of. And so, and who knows, they could probably have more. I just don't know the answer to all of that. But they opened up this wormhole, and to save time, what happened is while they were sitting in there one day, they got a call coming in. And they had to make a decision whether to answer it or not. I spoke about this yesterday. And this giant worm, about the size of a human being, come through when they answered the call, and he began to kill the scientists, the Marines that we have down there in the base there. They ended up killing this creature, and we've had another situation like that, and I brought that out on Patreon a long time ago. I forget what it was. Another situation where we had an entity come in. They ended up took 27 concrete trucks to pump enough concrete down into the. I think this was the one in Colorado. Where they had to block the entire section off down there because they were afraid of this entity getting out. There's some crazy stuff that goes on, So yeah, when Mike talks about we've had experiences, we definitely have had some really, really bizarre experiences there. So at any rate there, let's see here. I'll go ahead and play it for you, though. This was where the 2 scientists were killed. This is on the 2 scientists right here at the 155 mark here. Let me play that there because we're going to get back here in just a moment here. Back in June 20th, 2021. And this one still, I've never made this one public. It's still there on Patreon. It's still considered unlisted there, but I'll play it for you here a little bit.
It is made public about their deaths. The thing is will they ever tell you really what caused it? Now, what I find very interesting about this particular subject is that I also discovered too that the scientists have noticed a uptick in what is being termed to me as demonic possession. The scientists that are speaking about these things don't like to use the word demonic. They prefer to say that it is some type of high energy of some sort that is taken.
Now, if you notice, this is also going in line with what Mike was saying on there, that it's like the dream world, but it's not really a dream world. It's a very demonic world there, okay? So, this is dealing with CERN, but we're also going to be dealing with inner Earth demonic entities as well, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment too. Like I said, there's two different directions that we're being bombarded with this. Listen in.
Taking control of people. And doing it at a very easily, doing it with ease, I should say. And that's very disturbing. I was told as a result of this that the scientists in the U.S. government believe that there is going to be a tremendous uptick in the number of criminal offenses that are going on, that there will be a massive increase in robberies, murders, rapes, you name it, because of these, well, as it was told to me, demonic influences that are so easily taking control of the people. I've stated to you guys many times before, as we read what Paul said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood,
that's right,
but against principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness in high places.
There you go, right? Okay, now, so actually, I know this. I do talk about the 2 scientists that die in here, but on that one there, I remembered now it was mainly because of what Mike had said on the video he did there. Now, let me go back. Let's continue on a little bit further. In fact, the next spot is going to be in 30 seconds anyway, and then we're going to go into another video where I spoke about this, and then and then we got one more part here I want to still bring out for you as well, and we'll kind of elaborate as we go here. Listen in.
And think about something. Every time an issue goes wrong in their lives, instantly something starts speaking to their minds. It's almost like their mind becomes a table. And sometimes things will suggest that you do something this way or that you do something the other way. And it's almost like a person will begin to listen to their thoughts. You know, in the Bible it says, take captive your thoughts. So the Bible gives us a hint that not everything you think about is your thoughts. As most of the thoughts that we have are external. All one need to do is analyze. At CERN, when they start...
Think of the scripture where the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. There's a reason why the Word of God says that. What's in your heart, what you think with your heart, is what is you. What you think with your head may not be you. Your head is a receiver and transmitter, and it can receive external thoughts and things, whereas your heart, it's different. In fact, when Jesus gives the parable about the seed and when it falls on the stone and falls on the thorns and amongst thorns, etc., then he talks about it falling into good soil. He said, but each time he talks about the heart each time as well. You know, they received it gladly for a little bit in their heart, but, you know, then Satan comes and takes it away. There is very deep understanding in that parable that Jesus says, but a lot of people never really truly understand what Jesus says about that. And that's, whoa. The better we could understand the words that the apostles and Jesus said and the prophets spoke about, I tell you what, if you really could start to grasp the truth of it and really dig deep into this, you'll begin to know how that armor of God needs to be worn. It does you no good to be dressed up like a soldier if you don't know how to use the instruments of war that you have to have for a battle out there. Same thing like when I did the video about intrusive thoughts. You know, people are being bombarded with thoughts, just like Mike is saying. These thoughts are just coming to you and you have no idea. You know, probably 90% of the thoughts that come to your head are not even you. Think about that. Think about it. All right, let's continue on a little bit further.
Tampering with pulling out antimatter and things like that, trying to produce this. The same effect hits everybody. They cannot act upon their thoughts. They have to really be sober. In fact, there is a drug that people take at that laboratory if it becomes too much. And it's somewhat like a tranquilizer. Because what normally happens is a person can be overwhelmed by thoughts, by suggestions, it's almost like having a dream but being awake at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So then the line between reality and the dream world becomes blurred, unfortunately. It's not a dream world. That's the spiritual world, right?
Yes.
That's wrapped around this planet because they know, and when they talk about the veil, Pastor Paul, it is literally thin.
Yeah.
It's thinner than a human hair. And it's wrapped around all things that have life, which means right now between you and I, another dimension does exist, full of entities ready to get at us, right? The only thing holding that back is what God has placed over us. Evil can pierce that veil, right? Sheer evil. Why do you think they paid Aleister Crowley? Why do you think they paid all these?
I'll pause it there again before we go into the next part of this video here, which we'll do here in just a moment here. But let me just clarify in saying that, like I said, there's more than one way that this actually works, and that's what I want you to understand. I'm learning myself. You know, the dimensions around us, the ether that separates other dimensions, is one way, but then there are also entities that are within the earth itself. The fallen angels are in prison, literally in prison inside the inner earth. If you ever see the video I did on Antarctica and the fallen angels in prison there, over 1 million views there. And I've done a couple of videos since then going deeper into that subject. I really need to create a playlist, I guess, just on that issue alone. I'm not very good at creating these playlists, and I probably should have more because there's so much information when I go back to look for it. I can't find it because I can't remember how I titled it. But anyway, let me play this one here in light of what Mike is saying here. and I've got it at 6-minute mark roughly. We're close enough to that there. And this is going to be one of the meetings that I was privy to, where we were talking about the inner Earth and fracking. And by the way, yesterday where Mike talks about the Earth cracking open and the oceans and the water that is within there and stuff like that, I actually speak about that on this video here as well, back in September 29th of 2021. You'll hear that as we go on there, but if you just remember that from yesterday, this is one of the videos that would have answered that. Let's listen.
Lazarus does make it, but there's this gulf, this body of water that's between the two, and it doesn't ever say it's a gulf of fire. I know some people might have the idea that it's a gulf of fire, but it's not. It's actually a body of water. Now, from many of the reports and the things that I have set in on before, I know that in the center of the Earth, there is a huge ocean there. And just like the oceans that we have on our Earth here, there are oceans inside the Earth as well, and actually more in depth than what our own oceans are. And that ocean, that water, separates from the center of the Earth to our side here. And if you go deep enough, you can actually hit that ocean. And we've actually done that before in doing a drill operation off the coast of, out in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California, which actually allowed a prehistoric creature to enter into this side of the Earth there. But listen to the report here, what they said here. I thought.
By the way, that what I was talking about there, that's the movie Underwater that came out, I think, in 2020, where there was a creature that was brought through. I brought that out before. I think I did share that publicly. It was on Patreon as well, but that creature there was like a Godzilla type of creature. That happened, I want to say I think when I did the video originally, I was thinking it was in the 1990s. It could have been in the 1980s there. And I did another video about it because there was another guy that actually did bring out the information on that as well after I'd put the video out. And which just corroborated the information that I was sharing to be true. Of course, I knew the entire story, how we killed the creature, etc. But that thing came through because we pierced the ocean in there with that drill down in there. Now there has been some suggestion that it was because there is an interconnecting underwater cave that went from that side to the other that was near that oil rig that was put out there. But the way it was explained to me is that we actually created that opening as a result of that. Don't really know which one was the correct one, but we'll continue on to listen to this just for a second so you can hear a little bit more of what I was going to say on this.
I thought it was very interesting in light of that information, especially in light of the biblical passage right here. So the CIA believes that water serves as a barrier and that it serves as a containment method for those evil entities that are within the earth. And also for the spirits of the dead that can't seem to get back over on this side here. Because they know, like I said, they know that there's that huge body of water that separates between this side and that side there. But the CIA has noted, however, this huge increase in demonic energy or spirits are coming up on the earth. And oddly enough, they have linked fracking to the opening for these demonic spirits to be released. Fracking. And that kind of blew me away that they actually believe that fracking is opening up the portals. And why would fracking do that? Because it is. It's punching a hole through to the center of the earth there. And they believe, as far as the demons at least, they're able to come through as a result of that. And out west, we have, according to what I was told here in the briefing, some 50,000 fracking wells. And even though we supposedly stopped using nuclear weapons to frack, it is a lie. We continue that same process. I want to play for you a little clip here. This is, of course,
No, I have to really play the clip there. It's where they're talking about the fracking. And I have been told that, yes, they still use nuclear devices to do the fracking. And now I don't quite understand how that works, but they seem to link that out west we're having more of an increase of these entities that are entering into people. And like I said, the scientists have created devices where they can see the movement of that type of energy and stuff. They call it energy. Christians that are aware of this call it evil spirits. And of course, the uptick in crime and things like that, they kind of seem to think it's linked to this fracking. And as like I said, they believe that the water is some sort of containment of that. And I just happened to pull the scripture up because I remembered, in the New Testament where, the gulf that was fixed between that they could not pass and we cannot pass, etc., things like that. So I found that kind of interesting. Now, whether or not that's exactly right, or if their hypothesis on evil entities are coming up through as a result of fracking or whatever, I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But the thing is, I find it noteworthy, though, just the fact that it's spoken about on there. Let me go ahead and go to this other one here. Sorry, wrong video. Let me go back over here to where Mike is speaking here. We'll go to the 43-minute mark. Mike says, Angels has the key and knows who wants out. They're talking about the book of Revelation now. And because Paul brings that up there about, Apollyon, Abaddon, etc., that wants out of that bottomless pit. And this is where I really take issue about the ether. And this is why I wanted Paul to ask him the question about the ether. So, Mike, if you happen to ever listen to this video here, my question was because of the ether and CERN opening up that portal is that we're going to bring Satan in using our own technology. Listen into this here.
From heaven with the key to the bottomless pit to open this portal into the abyss, into the darkness. And you just got to wonder.
That crazy place.
Well, because that's why Shiva is out there, because the scientists from India that put Shiva out there is because Shiva is the god of the destroyer of the underworld. Is like the god of the underworld. And so they're trying to unlock the veil. They're trying to open the veil, trying to pierce the veil. Revelation tells us that there is an angel that's released from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit to open this portal into the abyss, into the darkness. And you just got to wonder, could CERN be that portal?
If I tell you what, when that angel comes down and gives that key, see, here's one weird thing. Even having this conversation is they absolutely know the Bible, right?
Yes.
That angel that comes down with the key, they know who that is. They also know who's in the pit themselves.
Yes.
That wants out, right?
Yes.
Because the word is, they say it's at time. So they absolutely know the spiritual part of things.
Yes.
We, the Christians, we're the ones that don't believe the spiritual side of things too much. Not too much, because we're just not, a lot of
we don't want to know. It's because we don't want to know. I mean, the more I read about the bottomless pit, and the more I recognize that there has to be a portal to hell, and that because it talks about in Revelation that there's more demons that have to be released. There's 4 from the river Euphrates area, okay, and that this one that comes out of the bottomless pit, Apollyon. So we don't want to know what's down there, but they know what's there. And Lucifer, they have to open this to release the.
Aconteceu.
Ai, Rodrigo, você sabe que eu tava dormindo, mas eu acordei e falei, meu Deus, será que já é noite?
Já é hora tem que ir pro bom
daí
dia.
eu olhei no relógio, 3h30, 4 horas, eu falei, meu Deus do céu. E foi, de fato, um acontecimento raro que chamou a atenção de todo mundo. O dia virou noite, né? Em plena tarde, o céu ficou bem escuro e surgiu uma dúvida, né? Por que aconteceu isso? Dá uma olhada.
Mas diz que tem uma história lá do Paraguai, de fumaça do Paraguai. Eu ouvi dizer isso daí, de queimada.
Tem 2 coisas, Rodrigo. Segundo a Climatempo, isso aconteceu por uma combinação de 2 fatores. Muita umidade e a fumaça. A chegada da frente fria fez com que os ventos úmidos vindos do mar trouxessem umidade para a Grande São Paulo. Aí essa umidade aumentou muito, formou nuvens baixas e carregadas, e uma nuvem grande, de aproximadamente 12 quilômetros de altura, se instalou aqui na capital. Aí vem a história da fumaça que você falou. A fumaça de queimadas em Rondônia, Mato Grosso, no Mato Grosso do Sul. Toda essa fumaça veio parar no estado de São Paulo com a mudança de